Are you ready for some laughs? So, U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin, they held a summit in Geneva in Switzerland, right? And this had been hyped up for a while in the media. You know, you had various news outlets in the West, in the American press, printing headlines and stories and such, saying that, oh, you know, Joe Biden, he's really going to stick it to Putin. He's going to teach him a lesson. He's going to stand up to him, and all various iterations of such nonsense, right? So if you look at the cover of Time magazine, they had this really cringy, I mean, absolutely cringeworthy cover of Joe Biden with his signature Ray-Ban aviators, right? Looking like the Terminator or something. I mean, it's just so comically, cartoonishly ridiculous. You had, this is from USA Today, right? Joe Biden, the US president who in Geneva did not shame America like Trump in Helsinki. Oh yeah, we're going to get to what he said, right? And you can be the judge. Here we have from Washington Post. To Russians, Putin got what he wanted from Biden. Some great power, respect. I mean, this is insane. They have these spins on this thing where they think that, you know, Biden was some kind of a badass who came in and kicked Putin's butt, right? And here we have this from the Time magazine also saying Biden's summit gave Putin the world stage he craves. So it's two various stories, right? So either one, Biden taught Putin a lesson, or number two, Putin is he's some evil genius, and this was his moment to try and play the world and take the stage from Biden because he's so evil. And if you go and look at this crap that they had in the late night shows, again, I'm not sure if I should play it because of the copyright issues, but it's quite bad. So anyway, if this section is missing afterwards, right, then you'll know that it was a copyright issue, but we'll try and play it. It's really bad. Get ready. It's really bad.
Try him on there. Just like he actually brought a gift for his Russian counterpart. He gave Putin a pair of custom aviator sunglasses. Hello, Mr. Murderer. I brought a gift for you. Try him on there. Just like mine.
Biden went into the day hoping to promote predictability and stability.
Yeah, right. So Putin is Mr. Murderer, right? But the guy who voted for the Iraq War, who actually helped start it, right? Pick the witnesses, head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Oh, he's not Mr. Murderer, right? No, that's delivering freedom, right? Not to mention all the other crap.
Also, the name of the most boring Jane Austen novel.
That's right. President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin met in Geneva today for about 4 hours with a few breaks, but no meals, because nobody would volunteer to be the food taster.
After the meeting, Putin held a press conference and was asked if he thinks the U.S. and Russia will now have a better relationship.
I mean, this is astonishingly bad. Listen, dude, let's get something straight. I know they're comedians. I know they're comedians, but this is really shitty. I mean, they're not even trying. And you know, I've oftentimes found that they try to they try to condition you. Like, they'll try to frame it as comedy, but you know, they're still trying to condition you into thinking that all these leaders in the global south, or perhaps Putin or the Chinese, you know, they're evil actually, and they try to frame it in a funny way, but it's just propaganda. And they've been doing this for decades, right, about communism, etc. So this is really cringy. And I want to show you the journalists, right? So after their talk in Geneva, it was a 3-hour talk where, you know, Biden really showed Putin. You had all these journalists who were there making comments like this. Okay, so take a look. This is from Max Boot. Biden wiped the smirk off Putin's face. Oh my God. He really showed him, right? He really showed him. Here's another one. This is from Jennifer Jacobs. She said, I yelled to Putin, why do you fear Navalny so much? Putin heard me and didn't answer. Biden flashed me a big toothy grin. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go ahead and say that this like really did not happen, right? Also, what is their obsession with Navalny? It's kind of funny, right? They all think that this is being adversarial. Here you have another journalist from ABC. This is Rachel Scott. She also thinks she's brave because she she asked Putin about Navalny. I'm going to play the whole clip, and you take a listen.
Our American branch.
Mr. President, thank you so much for taking my question. President Biden has said that he would respond if cyber attacks from Russia do not stop. I'm curious, what did he tell you? Did he make any threats? And a quick follow-up, if I may, sir. The list of your political opponents who are dead, imprisoned, or jailed is long. Alexei Navalny's organization called for free and fair elections, an end to corruption. But Russia has outlawed that organization, calling it extremist. And you have now prevented anyone who supports him to run for office. So my question is, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of? Oh, I bet Putin is shivering, right? He's shaking in his boots.
Okay. Once more, let me reiterate what was already said about various so-called foreign agents and about people who are positioning themselves as the non-systemic opposition. I already answered your colleague from CNN, right? But this is the law of the genre, so I have to answer your question, please. I'll do it again. The United States has adopted a law in accordance with which the U.S. has said that they will support various political organizations in Russia. At the same time, they made an announcement that the Russian Federation is an enemy. They've spoken publicly, saying that they will restrain the development of Russia. Here's a question. What organizations, what political organizations of the United States and other members of the Western community, which organizations should be supported in Russia, especially if...
Well, I can tell you one thing, for starters. I can tell you one thing what they're supporting. I did an episode for my show, for my TV show with press, with Max Blumenthal. He was on, and we talked about how the United Kingdom, right? This is just what we know. Huh? It's just what we have leaked from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, which is the UK equivalent of the State Department. You know how Britain was offering these contracts through the State Department, through the FCO, through the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, to the BBC, to Reuters, and this Zinc, collective of organizations like Bellingcat and others to go and do basically anti-Russian propaganda, right? And not just in Russia, but in surrounding countries. So that's what they're promoting. And then they talk about interference. This is hilarious. This is really hilarious. The double standard, as usual, right? So just quick parentheses.
If they're paying for them, we're just like the Americans the way the Americans did back in the 1930s. We're calling them foreign agents. But it's not prohibited. They're not prohibited from working. They can continue to operate. Foreign agents don't need to stop operating. If they are extremist in nature, then that's another issue. The organization that you mentioned has publicly called for a mass disorder. They have publicly called for breaking the law. They called for minors to participate in activities that were against the law. And they were talking about using Molotov cocktails against the authorities as well, including against police. America just recently had very severe events after well-known events after a killing of an African American. And an entire movement developed known as Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to comment on that, but here's what I do want to say. What we saw was...
Right, so he also goes on to talk about how the Americans just arrested a bunch of people after the Capitol riots, right? So, it's totally fine to do that in the US, to arrest people on political charges or for political violence, but in Russia isn't allowed to enforce its laws, right? No. They have to conform to whatever some ABC journalist says. So the point here, right, that I want to understand is why are they asking Putin about Navalny, who's a political prisoner, but they don't ask Biden about Assange? You know, for all intents and purposes, at the end of the day, he is the U.S. president. It's not just his decision, of course, nor was it just Trump's decision. You have a lot of other hands in this, but Donald Trump his administration launched the prosecution against Julian Assange. They unsealed this indictment, 17 counts under the Espionage Act, 1 count under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, threatening him with 175 years in prison. And the Biden administration comes in and they have a choice. Do they want to appeal Judge Baretzer's decision not to extradite from January 4th? And yes, they do. They want to extradite Assange. They want to pursue the prosecution, right? So Assange, I mean, that guy's been on the run, figuratively. He's been persecuted for 10 years now, right? They had him in arbitrary detention in the Ecuadorian embassy. He wasn't. He never went out. They threatened to storm the embassy and violate his asylum, right? So he had been given political asylum by Ecuador. They spied on him. They've thrown him now in Belmarsh prison, which is a maximum security jail in the UK. I mean, you want to come here and pretend that you're being tough with Putin. Why aren't you being tough with your own president? With Biden? Julian Assange, again, this guy is I mean, one of the most one of the biggest political prisoners in the world. For 10 years they've been after him now because he exposed war crimes, US war crimes and war crimes by their allies, torture, rendition, kidnapping, gruesome things. Chelsea Manning as well. She also suffered extensively, went to jail twice. I mean, why do they never, ever ask about Assange? They use Navalny. They don't give a shit about Navalny. They don't give a crap. They just think that this is some card that they can use against Putin. They don't give a shit, actually, about political prisoners. What they care about is being anti-Russian. They care about portraying the United States as morally superior. They care about portraying the United States as being the ideological winner here. It's the same Cold War mentality, right? They're still fully locked in their McCarthyist bullshit now. It's just shifted from Republican Party to Democrats. I mean, what is so adversarial about that? The case of Julian Assange is tenfold, it's 20-fold more serious. It has the involvement of multiple countries, Sweden, the United Kingdom. I mean, it's a scandal of the highest order, right? So don't come here and tell me that you're not going to ask him about that. No, not one of them has asked Biden this question. Not a single one. Right, but they think that they can be tough with Putin. That's so hilarious. It really is. And I just want to make one thing clear. Look at this over here from, this is a tweet from Ajamo Baraka. He says, is it true that no Russian media was invited to Biden's press conference while all the US press was invited to Putin's? If so, wouldn't that be a little pathetic? But bullies tend to always get exposed and everyone sees the US. So this is astonishing, right? After the summit, like you just saw here, Putin was doing his press conference, and then Biden was as well. And we'll get to Biden in a second. Biden took questions from U.S. journalists because he knows all of them. And they're picked for him, too. And that's not me saying that. He says that. He said it right there in Geneva. Take a look.
Usual folks, they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on. So, Jonathan, Associated Press.
Did you hear that? He says they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on. And they talk about state media in other countries. Dude!
I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks.
They're so pathetic. They have a list of journalists handpicked before because they're going to throw Biden softballs.
I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on. So, Jonathan, Associated Press. I'll take your questions.
This is horrendous. And I want to show you something, okay? So, there's a moment where, okay, I had this clip up somewhere, but there's a moment where If one of you would be so kind to pull it up, where Biden gets a question he was not expecting. Okay, and you can see what happens then, right? I'll get it in a second. I'll get it in a second. So, you know, there's a question that Biden gets asked, where he's talking about Russian interference in the elections, right? This was a big point. Oh, he's going to confront Putin on the bounties, you know, these stupid bounties that don't exist, and they even admitted that twice. We covered this extensively, and then they ask him also about election interference. Right? Now look at what takes place. Okay? Look at what Joe Biden says.
The rest of the world. His credibility worldwide shrinks. Let's get this straight. How would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries, and everybody knew it? What would it be like if we engaged in activities that he is engaged in? It diminishes the standing of a country that is desperately trying to make sure it maintains its standing as a major world power. And so it's not just what I do, it's what the actions that other countries take, in this case Russia, that are contrary to international norms. It's the price they pay. They are not. They are not.
Please listen to that diarrhea again.
His credibility worldwide shrinks. Let's get this straight. How would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries?
Oh no. Oh no. I wonder, how would that be, Joe Biden? How would that be viewed by the rest of the world if the United States were interfering in the elections of other countries? Oh no, it's not like the United States would ever do a thing like that, right? I think this map speaks for itself. Here you have US military and CIA intervention since World War II. So, you know, basically half the fucking planet. This tool is coming here and pretending the United States has never interfered in other countries' elections or politics. Motherfucker, it would be easier to make a list of the countries that the United States has not interfered in, if that even exists, than making a list of the countries it has interfered in, because they are so plentiful. What is the United States doing in Syria, backing jihadist groups? Operation Timber Sycamore. Huh? What was that in 2002? Asshole, you fucking voted for the AUMF. You voted to invade Iraq. You made sure you invaded Iraq. That wasn't interfering in another country's political affairs? No? What about Bolivia? The coup in Bolivia with the OAS backed by the Trump administration? Huh? What about the sanctions on Venezuela? Why do you have sanctions on Venezuela? Why do you have sanctions on Syria? Why do you have sanctions on Iran? You're not trying to interfere in their politics? No? The fuck is this? The only thing that they do is interfere in other countries' politics. That's their whole foreign policy. And he has the stones to come here and lecture Russia and talk about Russia losing credibility. Dude! This guy's lost it. I mean, I've never even heard a US president say something so stupid. And that's something, you know, given that you had Bush before. Even that they wouldn't say, just because of how absurd it sounds. Like, he actually said this. How would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries? And everybody knew it. Guess what, Joe Biden? Everybody does know it. The whole world knows what you do. The whole world knows what the United Kingdom does with you, right? That's why they hold you and other United States leaders in such contempt, because you are fucking backstabbing, lying scumbag hypocrites. That's why, because you do shit exactly like that. You do precisely nothing but intervention, interfering, toppling the democratically elected governments of other countries, or just the governments in general. You're meddling in their affairs. You do nothing but that. A coup in Iran in 53, a coup in Guatemala in 54. There are countries in Latin America that they've couped twice. Like Bolivia, right? They've couped it twice. Like, that's how many coups they've done. They have part 2. They have sequels. Look at that. This is preposterous. This is preposterous. I mean, Russia couldn't even dream of doing such a thing. Look at that as half the planet, honestly. So, I mean, this is insane. And he comes here and acts like he does his holier than thou thing. I mean, come on, man. Really? Really? This is why the world hates the United States and hates Great Britain, because these countries, and France, because, you know, they have left a legacy of torture, of oppression, of colonization, of imperialism, and it's still ongoing. As we were just talking about before, you know, there are countries like Palestine that are still living with the consequences of British imperialism, and in Syria as well, of French imperialism, British imperialism, right? The Middle East, Asia, Latin America, Southeast Asia, all these continents have been ravaged. Africa have been ravaged by colonialism and still haven't fucking recovered. Why do you think they're called developing countries? Because all the riches were stolen and siphoned off and taken away to the West. And then these people, they sit there in their ivory towers and go, ha ha ha, we're so developed, we're so civilized, we would never interfere in other countries. No, we're just going to steal their shit for a couple centuries and then coup them and keep stealing their shit, right? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, this is really hypocrisy of the highest order. And after a while, you know, just to, again, as we were saying, Biden took no questions from any Russian reporters, right? Because Americans, they have a free press. So, you know, why would he bother? When he and you saw, he was saying that he has a list. They, whoever that is, his team, give him a list of pre-approved reporters that they've selected because they know they're going to give him softballs. There was one instance in Geneva, in that same press conference, where he was given someone asked him something that was not part of the script. And look what happened.
I'd say again, we can't hear you. I said the families of the detained Americans came up and we discussed it. We're going to follow through with that discussion. I am not going to walk away on that issue.
Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm not confident in changing behavior. What do you do all the time? So when did I say I was confident?
You said in the next 6 months you'll be able to determine.
What I said was, let's get it straight. I said what will change their behavior is if the rest of the world reacts to them and it diminishes their standing in the world. I'm not confident of anything. I'm just stating the fact.
But given his past behavior has not changed, and in that press conference, after sitting down with you for several hours, he denied any involvement in cyber attacks. He downplayed human rights abuses. He even refused to say Alexei Navalny's name. So how does that account to a constructive meeting as President Putin framed?
You don't understand that. You're in the wrong business.
Is the summit with China?
Did you see what he said? He said, if you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business. So that's Joe Biden when he actually gets a question that was not pre-approved, right? So that's really funny. Putin is getting hammered by American journalists, but Biden won't even take the question of a Russian journalist, only American journalists, pre-approved ones. And then when he gets a question off script, he loses his temper. Remember when we were covering the campaign, he starts wagging his fucking finger in people's faces when they say things he doesn't like. But remember, only Trump is mean to journalists, right? His unprecedented tantrums and contempt for the press corps, right? Remember how they would say, oh my God, look how mean Donald Trump was the other day in the press room, in the briefing room. Oh my God, he was so mean. We've never had a president like that treat the press with such contempt. And then when Biden does it, it's like, oh yeah, let's not talk about that. God, they're such cucks. They're so fucking cucked, man. And they talk, again, this hypocrisy saying that other countries have state media, but not the United States, right? The West, they have they have such clean politicians. They never interfere in other countries. Dude, we are so sick of your hypocrisy. The entire world sees through your bullshit. The entire world. That was a Freudian slip of his, right? When he said that, like, you know, what would the world think if we did the same thing? Oh, you do worse. You do way worse. No country could even compete, except Britain, perhaps. This is really hilarious. So, you know, this entire summit, honestly, you can just summarize it by looking at the press corps just fawning over Joe Biden, just, you know, kissing his ass, pretending that they stood up to Putin, whatever the fuck that means, and acting like, you know, this was a win. And I told you about this, right? I said before that they're going to make this out as, you know, maybe at best they would say, yeah, there was some diplomacy, and they you know, celebrate Biden for that. But at the same time, they're also going to make it about Biden sticking it to Putin, right? Like, oh, look here, he's going to show him. And they were saying this for months, even during the campaign. You remember during the debates, you had Biden saying, I think this was the last debate with Trump, he was saying that he's going to confront Putin about, you know, the bounties, which don't exist. And he's going to confront Iran, and he's going to confront China. You know, he's going to confront everyone. He's going to go after the grandmother living down the street, everyone, right? He's just going to shit on you. So, I mean, which is a great way to do diplomacy, right? You threaten your foreign counterparts before you've even been elected. Well done. So that's what it's about. This is propaganda. This is, you know, they in American movies and media, they talk about how in North Korea or Iran or Syria or wherever, whatever country they've demonized, they say that, oh, over there they have this state media and it's a one-state party, and they do these photo ops to make the supreme leader, look in a good manner, and that everything is organized. No, actually, they're describing themselves. This is literally what you just saw. You had Joe Biden refusing to take questions from any reporters that were not American, and then they were pre-selected, right? And when someone asked him a question that was off script, he just lost his temper. And then they talked to you about state media in other countries, and he had a Freudian slip about the election interference. Again, this map speaks for itself. I don't really know what to say. It's so ridiculous. It's so preposterous that he would say such a thing. I mean, seriously, go ask people in Latin America, go ask people in the Middle East, go ask people in Africa, go ask people in Southeast Asia what they think of your fucking foreign policy, and if they think that you've interfered in their politics. Dude, even a child in any other country knows what the U.S. does. Everyone knows. And the same for Britain and France, by the way, but especially the United States, right? Even kids know this. Who are you fooling? But, you know, of course, you're going to have these liberals, these shit libs, and the brainwashed masses who eat this up. This is how you manufacture consent. This is how you brainwash people. You dumb them down. You feed them horse manure, you know, and you just repeat it every day. You condition Americans and consumers of cable, of mainstream media news, that the United States is a democracy, that it does not interfere in other countries, and it respects the rule of law and international law, and it's a bastion of human rights, and blah, 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 blah. White man knows best, but just repackaged. That's it. Fucking bullshit, all of it. Bullshit, right? They don't tell you about the United States cooing other countries to install right-wing dictatorships. They don't tell you about the war crimes that have resulted in Iraqi children being born with birth defects, even now after all the depleted uranium they used in a regime change war in Iraq. They don't tell you about any of this. Or the United States funding these jihadist groups in Syria. Nothing. The United States is perfect, right? And it's Russia that's... Putain. Oh, j'en ai marre.